What's going on, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is a fabulous, and I mean fabulous, Thursday evening here in the city of Chicago. I hope it's fabulous for everyone that is out there today because it is Hot Seat Thursday up in here, and I am ready to be set on fire. Don't know if you're ready, but I am ready to be set on fire. What's going on, Janine? Uh-oh. Ooh. Look, I got my water tonight. I got my water. And here's what happened this week. I asked in our competition that you share some of your successes. And a handful of people took action. So I decided that instead of us having a monthly competition, we would award everyone the opportunity, and I did them in the order of the validity of the post is what I would say. And so first I want Janine to tell us what her post was about, because we have people in six figures in 12 months that have already earned six figures this year. And I just want to applaud everyone for taking action, for being active, being responsible in their businesses. Next week, we will be at our legislative meeting starting May the 1st, and we have some other great announcements to make, but I am going to get the hot seat started. So, what was your post?
Just to say, let's start there. I'm excited. So
Yay!
I'm like, oh, let me just post on it. And it's like, boom, hot seat winner. And I'm like, oh no. But I came fully prepared. I got 2 full notepads. So we'll see. I know, right? You got 2 water bottles?
No. I got my water bottle. Let me get my notebook out because I can tell now I'm getting ready to be in trouble tonight. Okay, let the hotness begin.
So my post was about a book. I wrote a book for sellers. I've wrote a book for real estate agents last year and thought, you know what, this was cool. This was awesome. Let's do it again. But this time, let's do it for sellers and use it in my own business. So it's a short 80 plus page book that just talks about selling your home from start to finish. And I've given it out to 4 sellers actively. 3 of them are signed up. And I just actually started getting some boxes out today to re-engage my old leads with it. So real fun to use it.
So with your book that you published, did you publish that on Amazon? How did you publish your book?
Yes, it's self-published through Amazon.
Self-published through Amazon. And if I'm not mistaken, you can order those books for little to no cost, right?
Little to no cost. $2.15 a copy.
$2.15 per copy. And you're doing something unique in your marketplace that your competition isn't doing. And that is to self-publish your own book. And if they're going through a third party to have those books published, they're probably spending 5 times more money than you're spending per copy. So I want to applaud you first for writing a seller's guide or book specific to your marketplace, because what you're seeing is you're standing out on Amazon. They can go and look up the fact that you're a published author, and you're giving them something that no one else in your marketplace, I'm pretty sure none of your competitors are doing that. So I applaud you, one, for being different and understanding your unique selling proposition in your marketplace. Good job.
Yay. So being different, right? Having a unique selling proposition, I guess that's a huge factor, because other than that, there are so many of us. So one of the biggest things we can do is be different. So
yes.
And I just do geographic farming, but it's all about you in the hot seat, right?
Yes, it is.
So, well, I got some heavy stuff today.
Okay.
I know. I'm not going to talk about lead generation. I think you've done that. I'm not going to ask any other things. I want to talk about the current market.
Okay.
I want to talk about the gap year between, what most agents are currently seeing is that a lot of them are exhausted, frustrated, And I encounter a lot of these agents in my office. Breaks my heart to see them like that. But it's really where I think we're currently going. It's like that gap, not taking a year off, right, from college, but the gap year of like either you're going to be out of business or you're going to be excelling. And I'd love to get your input on what do you think is, what's going to make you a scale tip either one? Either you're going to be out of business or you're going to be accelerating like no tomorrow.
The first thing I would say is definitely taking heed to what are the trends saying. So oftentimes what we will do in real estate or in any business is we do what we feel like doing, right? What feels comfortable to us is very natural. What we don't tend to do is to read the different studies that are coming out from the National Association of Realtors, from our state association, and from our local association, only because real estate is still a local business. So the problems that they're experiencing in California are not the same problems that they are experiencing in Arizona. One, a lot of people have definitely left California and have gone to an Arizona or to a Utah. So there's going to be two different sets of issues. When we start thinking about it, we want to understand what the average debt is per person based on age bracket. Are they looking to buy real estate? Where are they looking to buy real estate? The beauty of real estate is that you can make money and not technically sell real estate. You can make money on referral transactions. So I'm going to take it back. When I decided that I was going to focus on foreclosures and short sales, it was based on trends. I'm going to take it back before that. When I decided that I wanted to, before the foreclosures and short sales, it was the social media and technology. So I said, well, according to everything, in order for me to be visible, I need to start thinking about leveraging social media and technology. And then the foreclosures and short sales came about, and I decided to market my services leveraging social media and technology. Now, even though there are a lot of agents there right now, they aren't necessarily leveraging it, they aren't necessarily consistent. If I'm thinking about the gap right now in real estate, I'm thinking about that unique selling proposition. So let's not say that you wrote a book, right? I'm looking at right now metaverse. I'm looking at NFTs. I'm looking at cryptocurrency because it's starting to make some movement. Is it very possible that we could still see a gap year? Yes, because of the learning curve. But I want to think about what, with the end in mind, what do I need to obtain right now in regards to knowledge in order to be able to make it over the gap, right? Because sometimes you got to have a nice little bridge there. We have a lot of agents who aren't making any money right now, and the listing agent is the person who is actually earning money. The statistics are startling. So, are we going to lose people in our industry? Yes. Do we need 1.6 million realtors? No. One of the reasons we don't need 1.6 million realtors is because everyone wasn't making money before now, period. So 80% of our production is still coming from 20% of our agents. And right now, that listing agent is the agent that is controlling market share. So when I think about, I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, I have sent a lot of people referrals. I understand right now exactly what I need to do in order to go and get more listings. For me to go and get more listings right now today, I need to be more active in the Facebook groups for my grammar school, high school, college, and my sorority, because this is where those previous deals came from. Not me force feeding them, but me being a source of information, understanding that over the last couple of months, I've received 5 listing referrals and exactly who I've received those listing referrals from. So if I was going to sum all that up, go and look at exactly where your past businesses come from. Be willing to make the change. So I know I need to make a change. I'm telling you what that change is. But then also, while we're pivoting to make a change in order to put bread on the table right now, We have to start educating ourselves for the future. The future would look like metaverse, NFTs, cryptocurrency. What are you going to do and what do you want to dominate in the future? And are we going to have a thinning of the real estate market? Most definitely. We could probably do with 300,000 less realtors in the marketplace right now. And in some marketplaces, even I would say 300,000 overall, but some marketplaces more so than others because there are too many people not making money.
That is the truth. Arizona is a nut house. The Phoenix market is crazy.
And so I was recently in Arizona for the Arizona State Conference, and I do know that there's a lot of development going on the west end. Yeah, the west end of Arizona, but they've been waiting for that development for quite some time, right? But what about those people? Where are they moving from? How do we start looking at that migration map, building those referral businesses? And so it's a matter of keeping our finger on what the pulse is right now while we prepare for what is next, because there is a next. And the metaverse is here, and crypto is here, and the real estate site Proppy is here, and they're selling real estate via those vehicles right now.
So between crypto and the metaverse and foreclosures and short sales, you're going to put cryptocurrency a little bit higher in an education basis if I had to pick and choose?
Let me say this. I don't believe that we're going to see a lot of short sales only because of the appreciation that the market has seen. So over the last couple of years, most markets have seen double-digit appreciation if it was nothing but 10%, right? So if the average price point in the market, let's say 3 years ago, that house was $400,000. That same property right now is $520,000. There's very few people who need to do a short sale. It does not mean that their property will not go into default. We do need to understand that default terminology and how to help these sellers right now. But we're not going to see the same amount of short sales unless a couple of things have to change. We have to come up out of a Uber seller's market to a regular seller's market, and then we have to transition to a buyer's market. All of that is not going to happen in the next 12 to 24 months. It would take a little bit more time for that to occur. And after that occurs, then we would need to see a depreciation in the value of the market in order to even get to a short sale market. So I'm not foreseeing short sales, not in the next 3 years. Do I think that we should understand notice of default terminology, including in our listing package, maybe an authorization to release information? Yes. Will properties have a default? Yes, but they will not be subject to a short sale. So with that being said, to understand notice of default and some terminology and get a few extra disclosures in our listing packet, that wouldn't take a lot of time. I think you could easily find that information through your local realtor association. That crypto and NFTs, I believe that we need to take a full-fledged course on that. I don't think we need a short sale course right now because we're just not seeing that volume of short sales. So here in my market, one thing I did was I reached out to one title company particularly, and I wanted to get the notice of default list. I'm not seeing more than 3 to 4 every single month on this list. So it's not huge. There's not been an upward trend in notice of default in the past 6 to 12 months in the Chicagoland market. So even once we get those defaults, that doesn't mean they're going to be subject to a short sale.
That was good. So go and learn some crypto, people.
Go learn. Definitely, I would say go and learn but pick one. Learn either crypto, learn NFT, learn more about the metaverse. And this is the reason for the metaverse. I had the opportunity to interview the TikTok house agent. And once she sold her house or she sold her listing because she engaged TikTok influencers to use the house as their video background. So now they've reached out to her because she's been featured in over 30 national publications to see if she wants to now place her listings in the metaverse. The reason she has not placed her listings in the metaverse is because she says she's not well versed enough on the terms, which means that she would not be providing her clients with undivided loyalty. She herself has to become more educated in order to explain it thoroughly to her clients.
That'll be a good class to take once we have people rolling out classes on that one. Sounds fun.
So Inman just had a couple of speakers. We could all go over to inman.com. And actually, I'll ask Sarah where, because she attended a couple of those classes this past week in New York at Inman. Also, another Inman conference will be coming to Las Vegas in August. I plan to attend that conference because I, too, am trying to align myself with the best education in that field, but it's still relatively new.
That'll be interesting. So we'll see. Now, let's pivot a little bit, I guess, and talk about motivation, because the gap year is one of those things where, you start going down and then people get demotivated. What do you think are your best tips for people to get that motivation? How do you inspire your team members, your agents in your brokerage, right? Like even down to yourself.
So I have lived through that. Let's be clear. So I lost everything when the foreclosure crisis hit in 2006. My grandfather died from Alzheimer's disease in March. I had my third bout of pneumonia in the month of April. It covered 70% of my left lung. My mother passed away suddenly from a brain aneurysm on May the 28th. I got married on June the 6th and pregnant on July the 4th. So I fainted on an airplane in September. So all of this happened starting March of that year, which was 2006. When the foreclosure crisis started the year later here in the city of Chicago, mentally, I was 100% disconnected from everything. Like I didn't care financially that I was losing everything or that I had 4 properties go through foreclosure. But let me come back. One of the reasons that I knew the foreclosure market like the back of my hand is because I was being served paperwork. So I was living it, keeping all of the paperwork while designing the course and teaching the subject. That's a whole nother subject, right? And so when 2012 came about, I had financially lost everything, and mentally, that's when I connected to the loss. So my mother's deceased, my grandfather's deceased. I'm lucky to be alive. I've had pneumonia 3 times, and now I have a new child that somehow I nurtured in the midst of me being mentally disconnected. And I made a decision in 2012 that I wanted to change some things because I was not happy. I didn't even, if you go back and look at my pictures, I didn't even smile as much as I smile now because I was not happy. I was working all the time. My money didn't match my efforts. And so a couple of things did happen. And I tell everybody this, that book, The One Thing, changed me. But I also read tipping points. I read outliers because all I knew was I could not stay where I was. And so even though I had lost everything, I was consistently reaching out, trying to find things, right? Because I knew it had to be better. And so I read a lot of books, but The One Thing changed it for me. And watching the movie The Secret. I had watched the movie The Secret 1,000 times before, but I was able to look at it differently once I had read the book, The One Thing. So I could start to see a little change, right? But it still wasn't what I wanted it to be. So what I did next was I read the book, The Miracle Morning, and I implemented a morning routine. The one thing inside of that morning routine that works very well for me are affirmations. So I walk around, and I've always been the person who talks to themselves. And if you see me, you might see my lips moving always I've talked to myself, and my sons will say, so mom, is your conversation good? Right. And so the affirmations is using the app prompter. So when I get up in the morning now, and this could look different for everybody, because of lipedema, I use my vibration plate. So that's 20 minutes on the vibration plate. The prompter app is me going over my daily affirmations. You'll see that I keep notebooks, so I write everything down. And I do start with the end in mind. So one thing is, if you've ever had failure before, to reflect on that failure and understand that just like you came out of that failure, you can come out of another failure. If people have not experienced failure, the first failure is the hardest failure. If you've experienced failure before and you've had a comeback, you understand that you can come back again. So for anyone who's never had failure, if you start to see failure, it's going to be very hard that first time. But if you can come out of it that first time, when it hits that second time, you know that you can come out of it. So my last failure was not my first failure. It was my second failure. My first failure was going through a lawsuit with my family and coming into real estate with absolutely nothing. The process was a little different then because I hadn't read the book, The One Thing. I had not, and I had never experienced failure before. What changed was me going into pharmaceutical sales. So I took a little job just to be able to get me through the bridge. And once I went into farm sales, this was my thought process. I wasn't used to getting a salary anyway before that. I started saving 15% day one when I went to Pfizer. Within 18 months, and I had a 401k with matching, I was able to leave and I had $25,000. So I never went to stay. I went to take the job to be a bridge to come back. And when I came back, I opened my brokerage. So if you've never had failure before, sometimes it's okay to take a step back with the intentions of coming back. But you have to surround yourself with positivity. You have to surround yourself with things that make you happy. Even with the recent 3 surgeries that I had in 65 days, I only bought colorful compression socks so that when I looked at my legs every day, I could smile by the bright colors. I intentionally wore mismatched shoes, socks, and pants every single day just to be able to laugh at the fact that you could see me, but you didn't know what I had on from the waist down. I didn't gain weight, but I stopped being restrictive with my diet because I knew that I wanted to comfort myself and eat more carbs. So I ate more carbs during the fact that I had surgery because I had all these other painful things that were going on. And if you're restrictive at that time, it can set you off. And my prayer is for one thing consistently: mental clarity and physical endurance. If you are continue to be blessed with mental clarity and physical endurance, you can get over anything. At the moment that you do not have mental clarity, you physically, you don't know how to take care of yourself in the same manner. I've sold Zoloft before. So because I sold Zoloft and I sold Aricept, my consistent prayer for me is mental clarity and physical endurance, because I can figure it out if I have mental clarity and physical endurance.
All right, so let's sum it up. Motivation starts with surround yourself with a book. Essentially, start finding the sources that get you into the state of positivity, right? To just really, because I encounter a lot of people that are blaming everybody else. It's always the other person. It's always based on, it's the brokerage's fault. It's the spouse's fault. It's this fault. It's that. And it's never that look of what can you control? So when people come with that struggle, the start would be to really just help them on the positivity note.
Well, come back. So what I would say, think about this. positive signs in the office, positive notes. And I'm not talking about you having to go to Home Goods. Go to the printer and print out just on an 8.5. When you don't have money, you have to be resourceful, right? So they've come into real estate. They haven't made any money. I'm not talking about the pretty glamorous signs and you get all the full color, right? Just a simple sheet of paper, 8.5 by 11. I don't care if you have to write it on a sheet of paper because I write myself little positive notes on the sticky pads all the time. So find a way to surround yourself with signage. Find your ways of little things that make you happy. Lipstick sales always goes up in when we have a depressed market because it's considered an inexpensive item that makes a woman feel pretty, right? So it could be planting seeds in your office. You might not have the money to go and buy $19 plants, right? So you go, you get you a few of those little dollar pots from the dollar store. You get you some seeds, they 39 or 59 cents, and you grow you a few flowers. But those very small things, you surround yourself with those things to make you feel better. Some people are never going to be happy, but they were unhappy before they came into real estate, right? The depressed real estate market didn't make them happy. They were unhappy people anyway. What I know for a fact is a significant other isn't going to make you happy. So a lot of people will say to me all the time, well, let me say this. I want to give my husband credit, but I want to be clear about the credit in which I give him. I had success and was a single parent before I ever met Stephen. Okay. Stephen is a good husband, but I was going to be successful with or without Stephen because I had a man when I met Stephen, right? So Stephen is a great husband, but I had to make Marky happy. Stephen can't make me happy. Now, as a result, he's more happy because he has a happy spouse who's not relying on him to make me happy. But it also is one of the reasons why I'm very vocal in my marriage. I tell my husband what I like, what I don't like, what I'm willing to do, what I'm not willing to do. Keeping in mind that everybody has their different, I call them their terms of engagement, right? Stephen and I have a set of terms of engagement. Other married couples have a set of terms of engagement. But at the moment you think that if you lose weight, you're going to be happy, that would be a lie. I'm going to tell you now, I was happy fat, and that's why I'm happy small, okay? Because I've been through so much work, the landmark forms, self-help books, therapy. Like I'm consistently working on myself with every means necessary. And I couldn't do it all at the same time. There was a time I could always go to therapy because I had insurance, right? But I couldn't just go to the landmark form. I had to save money to go to the landmark form. But it was so important to me that I even sent my son through the landmark form. And so I see parts of that pop up. We cannot wait until a depressed time to work on ourselves. It's something that we have to consistently do. So those people who are unhappy likely have never worked on themselves in any capacity. And then they came into real estate to be an entrepreneur in a market that has never existed before. I know they're not happy. I see unhappy agents all the time. Let me be clear. I'm not the person who's going to hang out with unhappy agents. I'm not going to allow anyone, because I'm putting in too much work, to come and piss all over my happiness because of their unhappiness and their inability to be willing to change or even have a belief, the faith of a mustard seed, that things could be better.
Pick your circle, right? Pick your circle and keep growing.
Yeah, yes. The people can steal your joy.
Yes, they can.
I'm very protective right now of my joy, of my energy. And I don't care if you don't have any money. That's not how I get motivated to be around people. But I want to clarify that. The Chicago Association of Realtors used to be located at 200 South Michigan. There was a homeless man who stood out on the corner all the time. And every time I would walk by him, he would say, "Hey, can I carry your bag for you today? Girl, you looking pretty today. Come on now, walk for me," right? Every time I would go down to the Chicago Association of Realtors. I would be intentional to make sure that I had a $5 bill. I didn't give him $1. Okay. I was giving him $5 because I knew every time that I was going to see him, he was going to make me feel good. And I wanted to do something nice for him to make him smile. And so when people bring you joy, no matter, and I'll be looking for him too down there because he was going to say something to me. I was going to crack a smile. I knew that he would walk me to my car. He wasn't going to do anything. Well, he would actually walk me to the entrance of the garage and we would talk. And so it was just his energy. Yeah, he was homeless, or I don't know if he was homeless or not, right? I just knew that he was a panhandler. He might not have been homeless. That stood there all the time. And so you want people who have a positive energy, no matter what they do, who they are in life.
Love it. All right. So next to motivation is the big word, accountability. Accountability, free and paid. I kind of want to get the entire thing about this of what can people do to be held accountable to what they say they're going to do. Might it be free? Might it be paid? There's a lot of people in your group that are here on a membership saying, tell me what to do, Marky, and they're going to do it. So how do you do it?
Let's go free first. I think you need to pivot your sphere of influence. And pivoting your sphere of influence, hang around people who you want your life to resemble. So when I start thinking about the people who I spend the most time with in the world of real estate, let's start there. They're all volunteers. So that means they're coming with a given heart. They're all major donors. Okay. That means that they're willing. They believe in our industry and they're willing to invest in our industry. So if I was to look at the 10 people in real estate that I spend the most time with, that is one thing that we all have in common, and they believe in education. Okay. Now, when I look at my personal friends, I don't hang out with my personal friends as much as I used to, because I'm now surrounded with people who are volunteering. So if I was to go back to my childhood, when I got to college, I pledged a sorority. My sorority is all about public service. So now I'm spending more time with my sorority sisters where we are focused on public service, period. You have to have that, because here's the thing. Competition is true, right? So you want to keep up, and it's not a written competition, and I don't want to take anything from them, but I want to be successful too, right? So find you a group of friends, and you might not want to call them friends, you could call them associates, right? That you're spending time with who are doing something different. So I don't go sit on bars, stools, because that's not my jam. That's not where I make my money. Is there a group of people who that's what they do? Yes. So I guess I should talk about the things I don't do. I drink very little. I don't smoke weed or have any cannabis intake. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't smoke cigars. Okay. Do I go shopping? Yep, I go shopping. I like to mix and match, sometimes nice high-end accessories. But I can pair that thing with a Target dress and a heartbeat. Okay. So you have your accountability with your peers, right? And they expect you to do good, because look, they don't want to hang out with you if you're not doing good. From the paid aspect, I will say that in 2020, I spent the most money ever on personal development outside of having 2 degrees and 64 real estate related licenses, designations, and certifications. This year, I am not spending any money until I implement what it was that I've already paid for. So we have to put on our calendar, when it comes to accountability, our ability to be able to implement. If we do not have it on our calendar to implement it, it is not going to happen. So a big part of the calendar is implementing what it is you said that you were going to do to be able to grow your business. One of the things that I have a meeting tomorrow morning at 5:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Why? Because my website designer made a recommendation. I asked her to do an audit of my website and of my email funnels. And so she took the time and she gave me this lovely printout of what she wanted me to do. I want to pull it up. So I have it printed out right here. Okay. I then had to go and hire a copywriter, right? That's money. You had to tell them all these details. So what is on my calendar is our next meeting, that I must have this new process implemented for her to make it all better for me. All of that is on my calendar. Now, do I want to get up at 4:45 a.m. tomorrow morning? No. But what I know is that I want her to implement on a certain date. And I've already pushed the meeting back once. So I will be up bright and early tomorrow. When you spend money, you tend to implement more. Because I know I'm spending money and I have already paid for my VIP day next month, this is going to get done. It's going to get done tomorrow morning at 5:30 a.m. And so I'm consistently putting these things on my calendar. When Chicago Public Schools reached out to me, I just sent them an email back. They wanted me to come in and do a series of classes for them. I told them I can't come do a series of classes for you. But one, because I'm implementing all of these other things. So we also have to have the ability to say no. But when you pay for something, you must put on your calendar the ability to be able to implement it or it won't get done.
Love it. So hopefully people get something out of that, because otherwise information without implementation is startup delusion, right?
Yes, it is. It 100% is. And I also have those additional classes. So from the classes I took last year, the one thing that I failed to implement was the video marketing school with Owen. And so now I'm going back. That's all about YouTube, your YouTube channel, your playlist. Do I have 2 YouTube channels and playlists? Yes. Are they at the level they should be? No. So before I take another training, I must implement my YouTube strategy.
I can agree. My YouTube channel just got started again this year and it's not where it should be.
Yeah. But applaud yourself for the things that you are doing. Right. So we're getting ready to drop, I think, our 115th episode of our podcast. I've done a fabulous job with the podcast. I just need to do a better job with YouTube. Just
say your last podcast was good. All about the artificial intelligence. I just listened to it.
Yes. And so that part, I'm doing a good job, but it is definitely the YouTube channel that is something that I need to work on. And it's a strategy, and it's not the strategy that I was accustomed to implementing. So that means I have to be willing to make some changes, but I also need to be able to find the time. So with me having surgery, I was just trying to keep everything going. As soon as I stopped having surgery, I had 11 events in the month of March. So it wasn't on my calendar. But let me say this, I already knew I wasn't going to implement it in March, April, and or May. So we have it set up that June, once we're back at home after our legislative meetings, I know that I'm going to be home more consistent over the summer months. It must get done because it will not get done in September or October. So look at the whole calendar and be realistic about what your pattern of business is. And if you don't look at that pattern of business, you'll get caught off. Like most of us could probably take vacation in the summer, especially those first couple of weeks in August. And a lot of us could take vacation sometime after Thanksgiving before the new year. If we don't get it then a lot of us won't have a vacation. But we're not looking at things slow down. Title companies aren't going to be open. They're going to have different office hours. They're going to have Christmas parties. And so when everyone else is working less, we need to work less too.
Like it. So vacation, well, we're on the topic. Everybody wants to go on vacation. And when you go on vacation, for most agents, their real estate business stops. So personally, I love the concept of a buddy, right? A buddy system. What's your go-to when it comes to vacation and you got business going on and you're not a giant operation?
And so let me say this, you do need a buddy. I will say that every time I get on an airplane, I generate a lead. I don't know what it is about leaving your business, but every single time you get ready to go somewhere, we generate leads. Me, Sarah, Nakia, Carrie, we talk about it all the time. It's like as soon as we hit the airport, here comes this lead out of nowhere, right? This is what I would say. You have to plan in advance. You know you want to take a vacation. That means that if you're going to take a vacation in 3 months, you should start planning for that vacation now. What systems do you need to have in place? The first thing is go and block your calendar. So that means that if you have a Calendly or one of those scheduling tools, they can't even put anything on your calendar for that time period. Okay. So block those days off. Start with the end in mind and think about what is going to give you peace of mind while you're on vacation. I did a staycation this past weekend and I did not take my computer with me. Okay. That was just, I didn't even take an iPad with me because I had set everything up in advance. It was already blocked on my calendar. The reason it was blocked because it was spring break. However, right, you want to have that buddy system. For me, based on how I live my life, I identified a company to align with that gives me, we have 297 agents in our office. 21 of them I recruited. So I know what the strong skill set is of each of the agents that I've recruited and of our office. It's okay to do referrals. A lot of agents do not like doing referrals. I'll give you, here would be my example. I have been licensed in Illinois and Indiana, both since at least 2006. I realized that every dollar I ever earned out of the state of Indiana was a referral, even though I'm licensed in that state. I've had numerous agents come to me and say, well, hey, Marky, I want to get my license in Indiana. And I'm like, why? Do you have a business plan for why you want to go to Indiana? Have you looked at the numbers? Everyone has said no. Okay. The reason they want one is because they're working with a client right now who wants to buy in Indiana. So you want to get a license, you want to take the time, you want to go to school, you want to take a test, you want to do all this, but you don't know anything about this market. You haven't done a good job or a stellar job in the market that you're currently in. Why are you going there? Why don't you stay right where you are? Focus on that book of business, build it, and send that referral. Because at the end of the day, when we start expanding with no plan in mind, just to deal with that one current client, I'm telling you, you're setting yourself up for failure. Get that extra money. Don't look at it as you giving money away. Look at it as icing on the cake money, where you're going to make money and still be able to focus on what it is that you do and you do well. And I see it time and time again. Everybody want to go and get 10 licenses. And I shouldn't talk because I have 64 real estate related licenses, designations, and certifications. You only need one license. But when I think about those licenses, a lot of them I don't use, and 45 of them come together. I just wanted to say that. So 45 of them, I took one test and was able to get all 45. But I'm not going to Indiana ever to sell a piece of real estate, ever. I'm just going to send referrals because I don't know anything about the community. I would have to take the time to learn that. And that is not my number one or highest earning potential.
Love it. I got one question left. You ready for that one?
Oh, okay. Go with it.
It's all about your apparel. Starting an apparel business from start to finish. It is one of the businesses that personally I'd love to build up. So start to finish, where do you start? If you had to give somebody advice on doing that as a second stream of income.
Okay, so you got the books already, right? I want you to go back and look at any quotes or anything that you have. I'm going to find you the link. So this is how I started. I actually did a Shopify store and I pivoted that business. I did a Shopify store in the midst of the pandemic. So I was able to start the company, I think it was for $14. Okay. I'd already had my LLC. I already had my PayPal account. I already had my Stripe account. Shopify was given, I think, 6 months free on the platform. So I had Shopify, which you can plug into a couple of different third-party sites like Printify and Printful. I used Canva to create the graphics and the logo. So this t-shirt right here is a Canva printed t-shirt. A couple of things I'll tell you. It looks pretty good on screen, but I would have preferred for them to had done one more coat of ink on here. So it doesn't look as good to me up close as it does in the pictures that I've taken, okay? You want to create PNG transparent files, okay? And there was a young lady, I'm thinking, where do I have this file? So while I'm sitting here, I'm going to go and see if I can find the file. But there is a YouTube channel for a young lady that I follow. I took her online course and she walked me through every single step of setting up the company, all of the ins and outs of what it is that you need to do. So now I have my own printed real estate leggings, and you can create your own repeatable fabrics, and you could then take that fabric and create suits out of it. It's like the potential is wild. Also, right now today, so I shut down my Shopify store. I have a partnership agreement with All Things Real Estate. I have merch on Amazon. They call it Amazon merch, and also on Redbubble. Amazon merch, Redbubble, and All Things Real Estate are what they call print on demand. So is if you have your Shopify store, because Printful and Printify are print on demand companies. So people come, they order your products, those companies print, ship everything, and then you get the difference in the proceeds. The reason for me doing print on demand is because I knew that one day I was going to go back on the road, and I did not want a business that I needed to be worried if the orders were going to get shipped. I didn't want a business that I had to pack and take additional stuff with me. I wanted to be able to just operate that business directly from my computer. And so you would want to look at some form of print on demand, the same way with the Amazon books, they print it and you, that's the same way you could do with your clothing line. If not, there is a company here in the city of Chicago that you can order your garments in bulk. They send you those garments back. You're then going to be responsible for folding them, putting a cute little note card, and shipping them. Don't know if that's what you want to do. You make more money per garment doing it that way, but is that what you really want to do? Or do you want to add, some additional income, but not as much per garment, and do strictly what they call print on demand? So with print on demand, what I would tell you to do right now, and the easiest way to do it, is to go and set up a Redbubble account. You can load your designs on Redbubble. You could start marketing it, and they will print and ship everything. Amazon merch sometimes takes time to be approved, but then that means you're in the Amazon marketplace. And then the next way is if you were going to set up a full Shopify store, but you would then have to bring in, they call them like plugins for Printful and Printify. So you could do aprons, hats, bags, t-shirts, leggings, sweatsuits, all of that good stuff.
Sounds fun. I just want to get my opinion out on a t-shirt.
Yeah. Well, now let me say this. The easiest way, and I'm going to actually put this in the group for everybody, is I can send you, these are just Canva templates, and you can go into Canva, put T-shirt and order directly through there. So I ordered this one. I ordered another one because I wanted to test the quality. I like the quality of the T-shirt. I just want a bigger, bolder font. And I wish that when they did the screen print, they did another layer. But you can definitely try it out first on Canva. It takes them about, I would say 7 to 10 days to print it and get it to you. And you can have all the messages your heart desires.
That's awesome.
Yeah, just
you're gonna find the online YouTube course.
I am gonna find the online YouTube course while we're sitting here. I'm gonna go over here to YouTube because I am almost sure that I follow her channel, if I'm not mistaken. If not, I'm gonna find it for you. And this is what I would recommend. Anytime you want to learn how to do something new, what I recommend to people is to go and watch a YouTube video, because if you watch a person's YouTube video, they tend to have some type of special or extension of their product. So with the young lady who I went and learned all about the print on demand business from, I was able to get her course. I think it started off like at $1. And then it went up to like the $14 on a 1-month subscription. I actually didn't need to buy that 1-month subscription. Oh, here she go. It's Wholesale Ted. Let me show it to you. Let's go here. Screen share. Boop. Okay. So Wholesale Ted, I'm going to copy and paste this. And I did not watch this first. Well, go watch this first video because she likely has a link. She does. Guess what? It's right here, the Clubhouse. So when you go, her print on demand course. Wait, let's go back. When we go into her print on demand course, let's scroll down and we go to the Clubhouse. Where is that? Here's the link right here. So you can sign up and take this course, and she walks you through everything. I can tell you that right now. It was very beneficial. It's one of the ways that I learned how to set my entire print-on-demand business up. And of course, I have pivoted that business since that time. I'm going to drop this into the chat because there are other options that exist. Let me send that to you. There you go. That you can do. And so I believe that we should have multiple streams of income. I currently have 13 streams of income. I have Amazon. I have Amazon merch. I have Redbubble, all things real estate. We have our speaking business. We have our residual income. We have our profit share income. So I'm grandfathered in over at Keller Williams. I'll be for the rest of my life. And so those are just some of the different streams of income. And it's a little money here, a little money there. And at the end of the month, I come back and I look and I'm like, oh, you had a really good month doing this. One thing I could do is a little bit more marketing, and I have no paid advertising for any of the businesses, which is how I'm able to operate at a 3% cost of goods sold, but I'm consistently sharing those businesses. But I could market a little bit more.
That's incredible. So how many business can the average agent hold? Because 13 is a lot.
Let me say this. I think that now you would probably only be able to get one additional, not one additional, contingent upon the real estate company you're with. A lot of companies now have some form of recruit and profit share, and it's not just the ones that always advertise. Okay, so that would be one of the things that said, what does Marky's T-shirt say? On my way to close and be right back. Now, I'm going to tell you, this is a rip because the T-shirt was on my way to therapy, be right back. And I said, oh, how can we position this for real estate? On my way to close and be right back. What I'm thinking is that every realtor, if you go to the Realtor Conference and Expo, there are a lot of companies there that are willing to do our books for us, print on demand. I followed a young lady over on Facebook, and I had spent just get this. I had spent $12,500 to get my first book published. I will tell you it was well worth it. Now, the reason I'm saying it was well worth it, I published that first book in order to earn more money, period. And so once I had spent that money and I was able to increase my income, the book paid for itself in less than 30 days. Okay. I then watched Crystal. Now, I met Crystal at a conference called Traffic Sales Profit. And she was on stage and she makes an annual 6-figure income from publishing. One thing that she has done recently is she relocated to South Africa. But she is a Amazon publisher. So if you haven't had a chance, you can go join Crystal's group, and it's the 6-figure self-publishing secrets. She taught me how to self-publish. And since then, I have published 25 publications. Of those 25 publications, not only am I the publisher, I'm also the author, but 5 have become international bestsellers. And I think, and 2 I've contributed to are international bestsellers. So I taught myself the self-publishing business, and I taught myself the print-on-demand business from people willing to essentially give you their information for free if you believe in YouTube University and private Facebook groups.
So the streams of income, are they all separate in terms of email lists, or do you hold one email list essentially for all of them? And then how big is that email list?
And so anything dealing with Amazon, you don't have access to that list. So a couple of the streams of income, I don't have access to a list. Amazon, you do not have access to the list. Also, Redbubble, I do not have access to the list. All things real estate, I do not have access to those lists. So when it comes to those third-party print-on-demand companies, you don't have any access to the list. I have one list, and then inside of that list, we have tags, okay? Inside of those, inside of the complete database. So we take it and we assign a tag based on what the person has purchased. If we were to look at our total email list, is right up under 20,000 people, but we send out our emails based on the tags that a person has.
Makes sense. Keeps them separate and keeps them, not being confused.
Well, and everybody doesn't want the same marketing. And so when I send a message, I send messages only to us, right? So the messages we get, no one else gets. There are messages that only go to people who are in Real Estate Live. There are messages that only go to education, chairs, and directors. So I have different tags inside of Kajabi for the different groups in which I'm marketing to.
Love email marketing. So I guess another question on the third-party printing is, do you have the ability to put some sort of insert in there? Let's say, go to this website, let's say Google Form. Go to Google Form, enter your email, and I'll send you a 20% coupon for your next purchase.
No. So Amazon merch, Redbubble, there's going to be absolutely no marketing from you, the designer. So technically you're viewed as the designer on those platforms. And so you can't insert any special marketing pieces in anything that they're sending out. I will tell you that with all things real estate, there is a postcard that goes out that includes some of my information. We designed a piece together. So if you're working with a smaller printing company, yes, you can definitely have them insert something, but not with these global brands. They don't allow you to do so.
Well, too bad, but you're doing amazing. So I think we're coming up to the hour, and that was fun. So I got a ton of inspiration ideas for me, it's more the hyperlocal agent, which is all keeping it, super hyperlocal. And I think that's where we started out, saying real estate is hyperlocal still. It's all about the local happenings.
It is. It's a local business, no matter how global it is, right? And you want to be that agent that dominates your community. If not, and let me say this, you do want to be the agent that dominates your community. Everything else should be referrals. And while you're dominating that community, you have these additional streams of income coming in, but you don't want it to take over being that local real estate agent. right? Like for me, it's all about real estate keynote speaking. I'm not speaking in other industries. I stopped that. So I don't do anything in insurance anymore. I don't do anything for loan originators, because anytime that I decide that I'm going to do something for them, I need to understand their market. I need to start doing research. I need to update my PowerPoints to their industry. All of that is taking time away from what it is that I profess that I do the best. You do not want to do that. And I am clear, we are an industry 67% females. I have to tell us this all the time. Even though we are great and we can do a lot of things good, it does not mean that we're supposed to, because when you look at your time, there is one thing that you do that is going to earn you the most amount of money in the least amount of time. You have to do a side-by-side comparison and eliminate those things, because they're not going to get you the best earning, period. And so I can crochet well. And I've spent a lot of time crocheting. That is not the highest and best use of my time.
That's awesome. That's a fun fact. So on the event speaking, do you remember your very first event that you actually walked the stage? Do you want to share the memory?
You mean, did I model in or did I get on? I was teaching.
I saw the modeling. You're very good at that one, but your very first speaking event.
Yes, my very first speaking event actually was for the Chicago Association of Realtors. They are my first employer when it came to real estate education. The course was on 76 and Pulaski. I was very scared because all of the older agents were in the class that I had done real estate transactions with. I went in, I taught the class, I waited for my reviews, and then I announced to everyone that it was my first class. They all applauded me and they told me to continue doing what it is that I do. And so, yeah, my first class was to my peers. Actually, a past state president was in there, a top REO producer. I'm just going to tell you who was there: John Kamisic, Alice Jeanette. And these are still icons here in Chicago real estate. I was scared. I'm like, oh my God, they're going to eat me alive. And they have become some of my greatest supporters ever since 2006. So I don't remember what I had on, but I remember everything about that class because I was scared.
And you're saying it with a smile. So it's one of those things where you push through and it becomes an awesome memory. So.
Yeah, well, I wasn't going to tell them that was my first class until after I saw the review.
That's awesome.
And I've been now with the Chicago Association. This is coming up on my 16th. Actually, I have passed my 16th year in real estate education. Thank you very much.
It's for people like you. I remember I took a class with you and I took a class with Carrie, and you guys are some of the greatest instructors that we have. So,
well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Woo, okay. I made it through. You asked me some very interesting questions, and I 100% appreciate that. I'm thinking about moving forward. One thing that we might implement is I get the list of questions from participants in advance and then bring on someone like a co-hot seat person who can dive deeper into a specific subject. So, we are always looking for new and creative ways in order to engage. Everyone go over to the Google form. We definitely will have our Saturday morning group coaching. Okay. Group coaching is Saturday morning, 9:15. A post will go up in the next 24 hours to make sure that you go and drop your questions. I want to thank everyone for being here.